Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Berlinale Talents. Welcome to the World Cinema Fund Day. Welcome, Sata. This is a collaborative day between Talents and the World Cinema Fund Day, World Cinema Fund of the Berlinale. So we are very happy to be together for a day of talks and interaction, but we're going to start the talk with a beautiful guest.
Yes, we're very happy today to be welcoming an amazing director from France and Senegal who's in the Berlinale Competition this year with his film Dao. So we're very happy to have also Yanis Guy who's going to be moderating the talk. Yanis, Alain Gomis, can you please come on stage?
Wherever you want to sit. And we go. Yeah. Enjoy the talk. Thank you very much.
Yes, I. Assalamu alaikum. Give us a second to settle down. It's the morning. We just had the coffee, so we'll take out the notes. We'll take out everything. I hope everybody is well. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thank you, Berlinale Talent, for hosting this very important conversation. Thank you, Alain, for being there. How's the festival going?
Not that bad. Yeah. I came Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. I mean, it's just, I'm tired, I'm sorry, but I will do my best.
So this will be like a slow grinding process as we are both waking up from this haze that is a film festival. I'm very happy and humbled to be able to do this conversation with you and actually with all of you, because the point is to hopefully create some engagement with the topics that we would like to cover today. I'm just going to read a little bit from what was supposed to be the mission statement of this conversation. So we're here to discuss a little bit your filmmaking practice that was shaped across borders, various languages, and production contexts. Today and this year, you have a film in competition, Dao, and we'll briefly talk about it. And it's a film that explores new artistic choices, and that was created through a very, I would say, dynamic positioning, being from the diaspora, producing films in Senegal, and crafting co-productions that are trying to make sense of the basic asymmetry that is at the core of the relationship. No offense to the colonizers, but at some point we have to reclaim a little bit of our history. So the first thing that I wanted to address and to start with talk with, I mean the first sentiment, and this will be a very deconstructing thing, so I will say, hey technical team, can we please clap everybody for the technical team that will assist us today. Guys, if we can go to the first title card, so that I can speak a little bit about it. It's a quote from a Caribbean thinker called Edouard Glissant that says, "From exile to wandering, the common thread is a root, which is effectively lacking. This is where we must begin." And it's a figure that for me echoes vividly with what we commonly call African cinema. It's a movement that I could say emerged at a dual tension. The first one is, you know, when you talk about African cinema, you have to see how it started to emerge, and it really started with a movement of people, talent, going to Europe and learning the craft of cinema. We can talk about Ousmane Sembène, who went to study in Russia. We can talk about Polançoune Mouviera, who was in Paris with a cohort of a lot of African pioneers, I would say. And basically, African cinema was founded, rooted in this exile. It's not it's not, I would say, like un défaut, j'ai pas mon français. No, I'm not looking for this word. There's a reason why the first African film, what we call the first African film, was actually shot in France. It's a film called Afrique sur scène that is from 1955. And it tells you something about the advocacy and the place we had to shape our own image. And at the same time, in our continent, the images that shaped the figure of African identity and how we talk about this identity was shaped by anthropological cinema and all that stuff. And it's something that I think like we still carry around in the way we build our stories, in the way we create cinemas. And I was very interested to kind of like witness how even in your filmography, we can see the same threads, from La France to Today Dao. There was something that I thought very, very inspiring in this. And so this led me to, I would say, the first questions. And now that I see that we are all tired in the morning, I regret how complex it might be, but we'll try. I wanted to ask you, if one cannot begin their creative journey from a root, so from a place, from somewhere, from like an identity designed by frontiers or whatever, how do you shape your filmmaking practice?
How can we?
How do you shape your filmmaking practice?
Dis-moi la question en français.
Si jamais t'as pas d'origine, t'as pas de racine, dans quoi est-ce que tu peux fonder ta pratique cinématographique?
Yes, difficult question to start, but yes, I think that doing cinema is a kind of making your roots. Talking about Dao, who's in this film, there's two ceremonies, a wedding ceremony in France and a kind of ritual burial ceremony in Guinea-Bissau. And these two ceremonies are traditional in some ways, but I've discovered in a way that, in fact, the tradition doesn't exist. The tradition is what you're doing in the present. I mean, we all have to invent our tradition generation after generation. There are some things we keep, some things we lose, and this movement that keeps our culture alive. So at some point, I think that doing a film, doing cinema is a way also to create or reactive your roots. Because, I mean, the roots are also what you decided to be. So each film creates his own culture in a way, or its own dialogue with the past and the future. So, yeah, I'm not sure you need to know what are your roots. But yeah, this act of the present to create your relationships with your world through images, through films, a kind of dialogue with your society, with your is very, very important. And I think we don't have enough films. We don't have enough films from young filmmakers also, because, I mean, your point of view are really important right now. We just need it. So I don't know if it's part of the question, but I don't think we have to ask to anybody the permission to make films. You have to do films, whatever are your access. I mean, it's not difficult today to have a phone and to have a microphone. And yeah, the whole thing is not to get out of this kind of form. I mean,
it's how you start a journey. It's launching something to be an adventure a little bit.
You have to do cinema with what you've got at the right moment.
Yeah.
You know, and stop. You need to ask for money for different things, but whatever you have, nothing has to stop you to make your film.
and what is it that you had in order like to start this process, like the creative process that led you to DAO, like the first element for you that was the most essential?
I don't know. I think it's a kind of conviction of something, a question, a problem, a mystery, something that you really want to get into, to dive into something. I don't think you need the answer to start a film. You need the questions. And the film is an act that begins with the first sparks of an idea. And the film for me is the journey of the film. The film is not the thing finished. It's all the journey of doing the film, imagining the film, all your relationship with the film. And that's why you need to, each film has to, for example, your crew, you will not use the same crew, the same kind of crew for every film. So each time you need to shape your film regarding this journey that you want to make. But doing a film for me, it's just a piece of life. And your film is what, I mean, I don't know how to say that. But you understand a little bit what I mean? It's just that it's not just a script. It's a philosophy. It's what kind of relationship do you want to have with the people you will work with too. It's all these little things that make a film, in fact. Okay.
I like to say that cinema is a very social art. Like it's a combination of social interactions that lead to a creative outcome. But the creative process is basically just interactions. You interact first with maybe your memories, maybe your the sentiment that you maybe had, like a conviction that you want to express. And first you have to tell that story to someone in order like to launch that process. There's something that for me in your work specifically, but I think I see it in the work of a lot of African, Afro-diasporic talent that is about wandering, l'errance. There's something about starting from there, which can seem like starting from nowhere, but I think it's starting by trying to connect, having like an élan, to yearn, to have this spark as a launch of a process. And I'm wondering how you're dealing with that. I know it can sound a little metaphorical or a little philosophical, but I think it has like very, very practical instances and examples, especially in the lives of people who navigate all the time. You know, we navigate from one country to another because one country has money, but the other country has the whole cultural wealth that we want to be able to explore and enrich again and contribute to. We travel from systems where we are in shackles and some where we have to deal with maybe like more traditional aspects, more traditional outcomes that don't necessarily like match what we are trying to set like on the global stage. Like how do you navigate this reality and how does it affect yourself as a director, but also I would say as a film practitioner?
No, I just try to stay very concrete with what I do. We have it's not really a school, but it's partly a school, the Yennenga Center in Senegal and in Dakar. And we have students, since November we have a new promotion, they are 18, yeah. And so they start by filming. We watch film. They've just made their first documentary, 5-minute documentary. And for me, I have done a lot of workshop, and we have spent so many times, sometimes too, on the story, on trying to write, and at the end of the day, it's like, you know, you want to be a painter, and you never take the brushes. you know? So filming for me is the first thing. That's the first thing, you know, you need to film to understand what is your hand. I mean, it's a material. So, and most of the time because of the production process, we spend too much time on writing.
Unless, instead of asking ourselves, what kind of image do we desire? Something like that. And they have to look for it.
I mean, if you can start to have an idea, it's good also trying to start to film little things, maybe to write little things, but not trying to understand directly the story. Because then, if you do that, you will have a story, and then you will start to imagine which way you're going to film this story. And this has to be intricate. You know, it's not like two separate things. And if you understand your way of filming, you will understand the way you will write it, you know? So, I mean, the process has to be reversed in some ways.
And how do you, because I'm not going to say, you know, you established, you are at that space in your career. So then comes, and I think that the whole reason behind the launch of the Yennenga Center, it's to give and to transmit and to not. I hate the word teaching. It sounds a little bit too vertical, but it's an act of transmission. What do you have to figure out from your own practice, from what you do, but to turn it into something that people can then also reclaim? You know, I think it's very difficult. Like, how do we create pedagogical framework that makes sense for us in spaces when maybe you want to teach school and you want to give the art of writing through images to people that didn't necessarily have like the scholar system and the academic system that other spaces have. How do you create that, and what is the specificity of the Yennenga Center in that regard?
Yeah, as I said, it's like we need to film. When you see films, when you have started to film, and you film after that, you will learn more from the films. You understand more the way it is made, and even if you start to talk with the director or an editor or whatever, the conversation will be better also, because you will ask like very concrete questions, because every film got its own challenges, and you will understand it from the inside. And so everything is for me about trying to be concrete. You know, I've seen so many young filmmakers a little bit lost with their script, because they have spent so many times with it that they really want to have exactly what they have imagined, and at the end, sometimes it can become a little bit stiff. So we are trying to have a different approach of. It's a material that's made with living elements. So learning to film these elements, that's the first part, you know? So unfortunately, the way, and I'm going back to the first part of of what you said at the beginning, that's the production that doing this kind of format, because you will be asked to show, first of all, will be a script. It puts you in some ways in some format that at the end will create this kind of thing that you will see a film from Zimbabwe or from Kosovo, and most of this film will look exactly the same because they use the same kind of structure, narrative
The
structure.
three-act narrative, the three-act structure, the character-driven type of storytelling,
Yeah.
these type of things.
And I'm often afraid for the young filmmakers. You know, there is all this lab, and sometimes it's good, sometimes
Berlinale
it's very bad. You know, because as you said, you don't have to be taught. You have to learn your own way to do films. And this is what we need, in fact. Nobody needs another Michael Jackson. I mean, we need to hear your voice, and you have to find the grammar of your voice. So some of these labs are good for the teachers in some ways because they get paid, but they teach the same formats to everybody. And it's a little bit, it's dangerous, I think. It's dangerous for us as a spectator who need to hear you. It's dangerous for you also to think, and sometimes it's very true, that you need to go inside this format to be able to do what you want, to make your films. So it's a fight.
I mean, I understand the sentiment, and I agree with it, especially when these spaces. And I think the main problem is that these spaces are mostly created from a certain perspective, a certain gaze, and we need to allow the possibility for new types of gazes to circulate and to make also that space in the international system. Because, of course, if you want to build a narrative, build a story that fits, like the idea of what a film is in Europe, that's your prerogative. It doesn't necessarily fit the way I want to tell a story, the way I was told to stories when I was growing up, or the way I can, to go back to the practical elements, the way I can, and I'm able to build an image. So I think there's like a need for refreshing voices also in that space. And I think having models such as yours in Yennenga, but I know that there's people in the room who also have interesting models. I see Sam over there, and I'll get to you at some point to talk about what's happening in Rwanda, for instance, where you have a generation that is taking the lab template, but utilizing building it for themselves, like to figure out, okay, what do we want to say? How do we want to say it? And having those structures, building basically those institutions, it can allow you to access funding, access resources, and be a presence in the space, and not having someone else telling you what you should be doing or becoming. So I think it's maybe it's like there's not a diplomatic, but like an influence thing that needs to happen for us to have more say in what those spaces should be doing. I don't know what you.
Yeah, once again, it's a question of structure. If we all have to go to the same kind of process, production process, we will have the same kind of film. So you have to know also about your own context and your country and how your film are gonna be able to reach the public in this country. And everybody doesn't need to do, I mean, every public is different, and every kind of, I mean, I don't know, in Senegal, for example, today, it's a little bit stuck into, it's an in-between things. The cinema theater today are mainly owned by French companies. One of the biggest ones is the Pâté Cinema. We had Olympia, Canal Olympia recently.
Canal Olympia,
closed recently.
But it's done now. They were closed throughout the continent, actually.
What I want to say is that certain kind of exploitation, certain kind of distribution, and certain kind of production, because we'll, format the film in a way that sometimes make this film not able to reach a certain audience. So first of all, so when you apply, the structure of production of other country, of other industries, you can have a problem at the end to have something fitted for another market.
It's about maintaining your authenticity, maintaining your ownership of your own story.
Yeah, it's more like authenticity. It's just a kind of adaptation to your world. And the danger of, trying to apply strictly the same kind of structure can put you away from your own public, It's really a question of structure. And then, do we have to obey to all these different stages like it is written for some market? If we do so, we are lost, You
see me trying to segue to my next section. I'm trying to segue to my next section. But what you're saying is about like the structural, not shackles, but like the structural imperative that we have to follow in order like to be able like to build not just the stories, but also the production processes, and ultimately like the economic models that we will have in place in our own spaces. And if we do not implement like a little bit of change, or at least like reclaim some ownership and some advocacy for ourselves, like these will not change, and so the story will not change. I will stay here because I want to stay a little bit in the stories in order like to do another circle, and going back actually to your characters, and not right now to the DAO characters, which for me like where it was very liberating to see them on screen, and to see that freedom for themselves, especially when I saw the trajectories of your characters throughout your filmography, which makes me right now feel like it's like a culmination or like a liberation of form, of characters, but also of the structural mean that you are talking about. Guys, can we play the clip from La France that I wanted to show you, and we then start from there to talk about things. So I picked this sample. I'm sorry, the subtitles went out. Berlinale stuff. It happens. Shit. I picked this sample. I will tell a little bit of a context to everyone in the room. So it's a scene from Alain Gomis' first feature. La France came out in 2001, and it's the story of this character who was studying abroad in France, and one day out of the blue becomes an illegal just for some administrative bullshit, visa shit. And actually, like, this is something that today still is very present in African realities. And so because of that, it starts like to trigger like a wandering. He becomes an exile, he becomes a pariah in a space, and he has to reassess all his relationships. Anyways, so the clip is a moment at the end of the film where he discusses with his lover a book, very, very famous book, in African and Senegalese literature called L'Aventure Ambiguë by a writer called Cheikh Hamidou Kane, which is a story that kind of like parallels the protagonist reality, because it's a book about like a young man having to go to the school of the Europeans, and that becomes kind of like torn apart between those two realities. And the question is, how do you claim an identity that does not fit the categorical, Aristotelical, whatever bullshit the West is trying to push all over the world, but like you have to claim one for yourselves. And if we can go, guys, to the next title card, which is a quote that is used at the end of the sequence. I am not a distinct Diallo country facing a distinct West, calmly assessing what I can take from it and what I must give in return. I have become both. There is no clear-headed choice between two options. There is a single strange nature, distressed at not being both. And that's something that I think is, again, going back to the first thing that I was saying about the birth of African cinema, that we still live in our creative practices, in the way we have to deal and interact with institutions. And it's something that I see a lot in your first characters. This one, we can also talk about Félicité, which was a film that you actually premiered here, where the title, the main character, the main protagonist is set in this circular tragedy and tragic wandering where she cannot escape the static of her life. And I see that in those first characters of yours, and I want you to just like tell us a little bit about how you build those characters, why you build them in such a way, before we can talk a little bit about those of Dao who I think are telling something very different about how you can represent our realities to the world.
It's weird for me to see this scene. It's a long time ago, and I will never do a scene like this anymore. It's just that I was trying to say, I have learned to make cinema. I have not been in school, but yeah, I've been to the university in Paris, studying cinema there, and my specialty was the script. Yeah. And so I've learned the different, the different structure of different kind of narratives, but most of them was inspired, in fact, by Aristotle and this 3-act kind of structure and things. And when I had enough money to do this film, I also have had to work with the crew the way a crew was supposed to work together. It's also another kind of structure.
Very vertical.
An assistant with the DP, and you're supposed to say silence, and you're supposed to say rolling, and you're supposed to say action. All these things I have learned to do, and I've done so. And that's why the film and the character also have a kind of journey evolution. Structure in a way that it was supposed to be the way, the normal way to do films. Mm. And I have learned through film to be confident enough just to stop writing this way, to stop using this kind of structure, to stop using this kind of fruit, to stop saying silence, rolling, action.
What do you say now?
Let's go. The way I do film now is just like, I also work with non-actors, actors and non-actors, and sometimes life is just here, it's natural, we're here together, and you don't have to stay silent.
Yeah, no, it's true.
Stay silent.
You
will stop the thing, and everybody will have to start again, and so each one of you have to find its own way. I'm not sure that's the right way, but that's my way right now. I have found my way. The script of Dao is about, 60 pages, 70 pages, and the film is 3 hours, and the first,
Creative.
There is very few dialogues into it because I like to work with improvisation also with the actors, So at the beginning, I didn't give myself the freedom of doing that, mm-hmm. And I must say also that maybe if I have done that, I would have not be able to find money to make films. So it's a journey also, step by step, trying to go to your own way to make your film. Mm. but I love the way I do the film better today than, I don't know, 20 years ago or 15 years ago. So that's what I was saying about the structure. It's more about the structure. You know, I've done the film the way I was supposed to do film. You know, and now I know that's a million.
You're never going to do that again.
No, because.
But it's also it creates I would say a huge liberation. I know a lot of you haven't necessarily seen the film, so I'm not trying to make this a discussion about the film, but exactly about what you're talking about the liberation of your artistic voice in a sort of way. The structure for me of DAO is a liberation not just of the characters, but also of the aesthetic format, the aesthetic agenda. And then if it's not about, if you cannot talk necessarily about the storytelling itself, I have one question for you. It's how do you convince, first of all, your first producer, second, when you go to talk to the CNC guys, beyond the I'm Alain Gomis and I can do shit and trust me, you know? Because sometimes it happens like that, but it rarely happens all the time like that with all the parties that you have to convince to build a film.
Yes, but it's a big part of it. I mean, and even if you're like 15 years old, your ability to convince, your energy to say, I'm going to do it, to say, you know, you feel when you meet young filmmakers, I mean, there is something much more important than the talent, is the ability to go to the end of your project. Mm-hmm. And that's why what you have to convince, I mean, the people who you will try to get involved into the adventure. We will go till the end. Whatever happens, we will go to the end. And that's your ability to create a crew, to create a movement, to create an energy. This is very, 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 very important. And you can feel it. And you can feel it. Sometimes I see young filmmakers and it's like, whoa. You know, it's not a question only of, it's just you have to be very determined in some ways. You have to be a little bit crazy in some ways too, maybe. But yeah, that's the first thing. Because I've seen so many filmmakers, very, very, very talented, but not able to put the things together and to have a film at the end.
Yeah.
They have like hundreds of pieces, but they can't put it together and have one piece. And it's so important to have one piece. This year at the Berlinale, there is Leila Bouzid. I remember I've made a workshop at the La Femis during 3 months, and Leila Bouzid was there. It was her last year, I think, in the school. The school is that's La Femis, French school. And she got this ability to be able to go through the end of her process. Really, and I felt it. It was like, she was not satisfied about her film at the end, but it was like, okay, cool, you have this one, put it in your bag, and go and do another one, put it in the same bag, and you know, the important thing is to go step by step, but to finish films, that's the first thing. Even if it's 1 minute, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever, you need to have this and to show this and to say, first of all, I'm from this strange family of these crazy people who go to the end of their project. That's very, 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 very important. So first of all, second thing, what was the question again?
Man, I don't remember.
So this is very important. And then there is hundreds of ways. To me, a film is a movement. Yeah. And the movement is not only dramatic. It's like listening to music. When you listen to a song, It's not only the structure of, I don't even know how to say it in English, couplet, refrain, couplet, refrain.
Like the refrain, the chorus.
Yeah. There is so many ways to change little things. I mean,
It's
you
like
change
jazz.
a little thing and it's doing a move, and it's a movement already.
So it's like jazz.
You have a cycle.
You have a main theme.
Yeah, you say 1, 2, 3, and not 4. You go back to 1, and this is the beginning of a movement. So there are so many ways to bring the spectator, the audience, into a movement that is not defined by the 3 acts. So, and you can write this movement, you know.
How did you write Dao's movement?
It was simple. I need like several strings, several threads. So I had this ceremony in Guinea-Bissau, this ceremony in France, and in the middle of it, I knew that I wanted to make something about the casting, about the people talking, about some different experience. And I know that I can weave these 3 threads
Okay,
together.
so it was like the desire of like maybe a scene or an image or a sequence and something to bind them together, or to build a link between those 2 spaces, those 2 imbalances, death, celebration, life, and then what do you inject to make the craziness, if I can say?
It could be much more simple than that. You have, in the first sequence, somebody's walking. What do you do as a second sequence to create this kind of movement, this kind of Caesar?
Rhythm?
To make, I mean, cinema to me, it's, so my English will be difficult to say that, but.
Hold on, I have an idea. Can we have the 3rd title card? I stole this from like the first log lines that I read about your film. It's the 2nd sentences, and you said perpetual circular movement framing reality.
Yeah.
Oh, this is it. You could have told me, man.
Yeah, man, I mean, you can't do a film with that. What I want to say.
This was the synopsis of the film when it was announced.
Yeah, because you need to give some bullshit, into the thing. It's part of the mystery you have to create to, create an atmosphere, and you,
All right,
you
so
have to talk with
explain
some
to me
people.
that pitch.
No, I mean, you need to give something, a kind of, in what kind of world we're living in, So this is not the important thing. Every time we start by the effect Kuleshov, the Kuleshov effect, like everybody know here, I think. Yeah, no? And so Lev Kuleshov was a filmmaker, Russian filmmaker. I think it was during the 20s. And he made this little exercise, filming one man. It's always the same shot, in fact. It's just, yes, I think it's a close-up of his face. He's looking at the camera. And then he has edited the same shot with 3 different other shots. First time, that's an empty plate. So watching the editing of the man, the empty plate, going back to the man looks like he's hungry. Then he put another shot of a child coffin. So the man, the coffin, and the man, and he looks like sad. And then the third thing is a woman in a couch, and he looked like he got a desire for her. And the 3 times, that's exactly the same shot, So it shows something to me about this movement. It's just 1 plus 1. This is already a movement. And the thing with the cinema, to me, is that it's not what you see on the screen, It's what kind of emotion of you're creating in the whole between an image and the other image. And this is the movement. So you have somebody walking, what will be your next shot? And what will be the shot? And this is just the movement. I mean, and you can keep me during 3 hours if you are able each time to put me in a position of discovering, be surprised sometimes. This is like you use rhythm, you change rhythm, sometimes it's slow, sometimes, I mean, you have so many, yeah, sorry.
Take some water. Yeah, I think we can say that.
No, you know what I mean? I hope you understand what I mean. It's just that, okay, you have to be confident in the fact that Jibril Bombeti said that about a film. You just close your eyes.
You see the light.
Stars and stars doing some strings, and this is somebody's work. You are the first spectator of your film, so sit down, try not to sleep, and close your eyes and get into it.
Yeah. We'll watch Dao's trailer, please. I know you gave a lot already on this topic, but I just wanted to, okay, first of all, show the trailer because it's awesome. Go watch the film whenever, wherever, however you can. But there's something that, for me, again, going back to those characters, from Félicité, Tay, like those, I call them tragic circularities because they cannot escape. They cannot escape the form that we are talking about, the structure that we are forced to tell, in which we are forced to tell our stories, and that's what we're trying to break. And I mean, one of my favorite novels is a novel from Stevenson, the guy who did L'Île au Trésor, like the pirate thing. And he has this like tiny novel where the premise is that the characters of L'Île au Trésor, at chapter 37, they escaped. And so it starts to be a dialogue between those characters, and it tells a relationship to writing, to authorship, and to building stories, and to how do you interact with your audience. That is, for me, very, very evocative. And watching Dao, seeing the centrality, but also like the appeasement of Gloria, like that very central character, but like in the messiness of everything that is her life, and that is like all the relationship that she has. Like you still see the difficulties, you see the joys as well. It was somehow comforting. I don't know how to explain. There was something very appeasing in seeing that perfect imbalance in some way. And I don't know if that was the actual intent or if it's a result of the process, but I wonder if you can just like tell us about that character specifically and what she means to you, like moving forward.
How can I answer to that? But in fact, there is something I think that is important. What you're trying to make a film is what, and I'm asking this question to the young filmmakers I'm working with. What do you want to share with the audience? What do you want to share with the people? What kind of feeling do you want them to have at the end of the film? Because I think it's important to find the tone of what kind of, sometimes you want to have a kind of a violent relationship because you want them to wake up on something. On this film, and this on most of my film, I hope the people will feel connected, you know, like, yeah, to feel good in some way. To me, it's like the blues song. A blues song, you recognize yourself in this kind of experience, even if it's not your experience, but sometimes it's good to feel like I'm not alone, you know? So in joy, in pain, really, I'm getting used to say that, and that to me, cinema is like a common intimacy, you know? We're together at this moment. And I've discovered myself, you know, with characters from every part of the world. Young girl, old man, Japanese, whatever. You're trying to reach the film has to be very specific, I think, in terms of cultural things and blah. You have to know your character. You have to know your character. Your character, where this character is coming from has to be clear in a way for the spectator to be able to know the distance also he got with this character. But at the end, you're trying to reach, fear, love, the difficulty in the difficult journey in life, the bad days, the good days. This is, we all share this kind of stuff. So we can recognize ourselves so it's really in the details. The character for me is important in the details, but especially in the relationship. We work a lot on the relationship, in fact. On this film, so I knew the character of Gloria, and then during the casting, we have worked on her, especially because the casting is the meeting of somebody, an actress with a part, and you have to be ready for the part to change a lot with this particular person that will be the
protagonist.
Yeah. And so we're trying to find together, I'm asking, which way do you think, I don't know, it was a mother and daughter, and we try to find together by doing improvisation, their way to see this story.
So it becomes organic in some way, and you are also building with the communities that you bring into your story.
At the end, that's her story. They know better than me, and we add several sequences because of her, because of all the people who were in the set. The film is really, to me, more and more collective experience. And I don't want anymore to tell to the actors, you have to go from here to there. It's more like, okay, you're supposed to go out, do what you want, you know? And we're building this thing together, which means also that the technical crew have to be very,
involved
and in adaptation of what will happen.
Yeah.
I will never put a cross again. I've done it, but it's finished. I will never put a cross again to say to an actor, you will stay here.
Yeah.
Because the light is better here, you know, and you know, the crew, have to be, comment on dit, au service de...
service of.
In service of?
Yeah.
Oh. In service of the actors. They have to be good. So, and much of the time when I go on to, and I've done it too, on the set, you see the actor are completely prisoner, trapped, you know, by the system of the organization, and it's so difficult to be natural, to give more than the script. Mm-hmm. And we are waiting that the actors will give you more than the script, and will do things that you can't even imagine. Because if it's just trying to put your imagination on two is better than one. Yeah. So, you know, two ideas, so two people, two different perspectives, then 3 and 4. I like today to let the people enter into the film and change the film.
Yeah. So, collective practices, collective approach to the relationship, to building the form, building the art which is the best segue I could have so far, to also talk about how this is not infused but diffused to other aspects of what we are doing, and how, I mean, I'm using more and more the term of like film practitioner instead of just like director, producer, whatever. Like all of these things that we are doing is part of cinema, and this is how we interact with the world and how we socialize with the world. And in some ways, this is also what you are, a film practitioner that is building a community that is embedded into the Senegalese reality, but has, of course, all the multi-direction that can occur from this cultural resonance. Going back to the Yennenga Center, which is, like you said, there are some things that cannot be defined by those categories, because it is a center where you are training and you are doing capacity building for young talent, but it is also a post-production studio. It is a screening space. It is a cultural landmark, basically, for African cinema, for Senegalese, cultural bit. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time also about this, recognizing some faces that are also creating their own templates in their own spaces, resembling that. And I think what not that I don't have necessarily a question there, but there's something about the model that you are building that is quite interesting. It must be very challenging. So why?
Oh, it's a pleasure. I mean, it's a pleasure. There's so many. I want to hear those voices. That's it, in fact.
Okay, so we'll watch the clip, and I know we'll call on out of the public to talk about also their practices. But can we watch the clip about the Yennenga Center?
Thank you. Yeah, let me tell you a little bit about the Yennenga Center, because I think it's more important of what we have said until now. It's a place where, so it's in Dakar. So yes, we do, this clip have been made like 3 years ago, something like that. So there is the social part about doing screenings in the Yennenga Center, outside of the Yennenga Center, in the schools, doing this kind of workshop with young kids. Also because, I mean, the young people watch movies all day long, and sometimes when you just do a workshop, they know better how it works. And I think that it's also a kind of protection, because you need to be protected of what you see, and so it's a post-production center because there were no possibility before to do your post-production in West Africa before the Yennenga Center, which is one of the problems we were talking about at the beginning. Because if you want to shape your film for your audience, it's better to do it at home. And to have the ability, if you want to go to do it in Germany, in Belgium, in France, in Canada, but you don't have to be obliged to do so. You have to be able to do your film from A to Z in your place. Because there is this cinema made for the world, the festivals, but we also need the cinema, the local cinema.
Local audiences, very important.
Even in the US, I mean, I don't know how many percentage maybe we see like 10% of the American films. You need to have your local industry to be able to have film to go outside. For the moment, we only have film for the outside. That's the danger of the lab too. To build and shape films only for the international audience, which can be a problem at the end of the day because you don't have, you know what I mean? You're not on your ground. So we have started it 5 years ago with the first promotion, and now we have another promotion.
Yeah.
And so, first of all, they learn editing process, sound editing, mixing,
Color
grading, and now we have also directors into that. And the question is, how do you teach that, in fact? Because the problem would be also to teach to the people how to do things. You have to know how to use all the different software and everything, you know. But then you have to practice doing film. So they do film together, but also we receive films that don't have enough money. Sometimes you had a little money.
I paid. But
and I
did the post-production of my film in your center.
Yeah.
It allowed us to actually be able to finish the film with a completely, entirely African crew. It was like a Senegalese, South African co-production, first of all, and all the technicians were coming from the continent, and the center opened at that moment. So we were able to do the post-production there, and the way it was designed, it's we did the post-production there, and while there was like a lead technician spearheading like the technical post, like color grading and sound design most surely, like they were always paired with young technicians learning the craft on the actual film itself. So they are also credited as assistant sound editor, assistant color grader, and so on and so on and so on.
Well, which is important because at the end of the day, as a technician, you will not show your diploma, but you will show the film you have worked on. So, even on DAO, we've made like 80% of the post-production there. So now we're able to do a complete post-production there, and this is very important. But we need that this young technician continue to work and work. And there is something about the fact that it's sometimes difficult for older directors to have confidence in
what they know and what they can give.
And we need to give confidence to them.
Yeah.
You know, so part of the thing that you were talking at the beginning is also because of us.
Yeah.
Still looking outside some, it's like we're not able to do the thing by ourselves.
But we have interesting proof of concept, and I want to have one of them kind of like get up, please. Samuel Ishimwe, please clap for him. He's a director, producer from Rwanda. He has a company called Imitana Production. He also has created a festival called Kigali Cine Junction, and is actually their previous film, Minimals in a Titanic World. Shit, I'm crushing that shit. Was premiered here in Berlinale last year, and it was post-produced at the Yennenga Center.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say something. And thank you very much, Alain Gomis. If I can say something quickly about what we do in Kigali Cine Junction with Imitana Production is a little bit in the same philosophy that we especially in Kigali, in Rwanda, we come from a country that doesn't have really a history of cinema like you have in Senegal. We are the first people doing cinema, so we thought that we need to think about how, first of all, to the process of creating much of what you're talking about, how do we tell the stories that are around us, not formatted in the way that other people, we have different experiences, we have different memory also, but also how do we educate the audience about consuming films that we produce. So that's why we have a film festival called Kigali Cine Junction. We invited you, but you were filming, so we understand. But we also, it's also a very regional thing because we are in Rwanda, so we always have people coming from neighboring countries, from Uganda, from Congo, from Burundi, coming because it's nearby, it's a small distance. So we try to create in this, let's say, regional, but eventually a Pan-African way of thinking, ways to do cinema. And a quick question maybe before, because I get the opportunity, just a thought of you is that you talked about how to make films, sometimes you have to be crazy a little bit, and it is our experience, because when we started doing films in Rwanda, saying I want to be a filmmaker is almost saying I want to be an astronaut. It's such a crazy idea, but as you move forward, it starts happening, and then you're obliged to make more sense and to become more serious. And we've been working about, thinking about how to keep that initial craziness of doing something out of the instinct, out of the gut feeling, rather than professionalizing the whole process and therefore getting into these formats. But it gets difficult as you move forward and you need more resources. So I just want to just get your thought about how do you keep this philosophy of not necessarily getting into what makes sense, but getting into the gut feeling and the desire to really express whatever image is popping in our heads, and how the process, the way we choose to do that, stays faithful to that initial thought. Yeah, so it's my comment.
Simple question. Yeah? Simple question.
Simple, very small question.
Thank you. It's a good question. I don't have the answer to this question. I just want to say that let's try to find the answers to this question together. I mean, we don't have to fit to something that happened before. We have to deal with what we have just right now. And the fact that we have to, I think, to be very connected, because yes, it's difficult. And it's particularly difficult to stay alive. Even in the Yennenga Center, we just, we struggle just to succeed in to stay alive. So we have to make films together, to continue to make films together, even when it's difficult. So I have to rely on you. You have to rely on you too, and me, and we have to work together, and not only in Africa. I mean, this thing is just, that's coming back to what I said at the beginning. We don't have to wait for somebody to give us the possibility to make films. Let's make this film together, and hopefully some of this film will be successful and will help us to make another one and another one, but we can't wait. And that's what you're doing. So my only answer is, okay, let's try to continue to work together.
It's about building a different type of economic model. Hold on. I'm trying to do something. It's about building like a new type of economical model, one that is not based on competition, but on solidarity. And I think all these spaces, all these creative processes that we are trying to bring, but also to give to the rest of the industry, is about that. We have slowly moved into the Q&A portion of the program, and I decided to do it a little bit like an anarchist. I'm going to call, please, Choma Onyenwe, creative producer from Nigeria, a last title that I never remember how to say it like in the right order. The legend of the vagabond queen of Lagos. Right? I wanted to bring her on stage because it's a film that was crafted from a very, very distinct process. It was done, directed by a collective. Just like maybe a few words about those, and then I'll keep doing some crazy stuff.
Well, okay, I've been called out, so I'm going to call out another film collective from Nigeria, The Critics. They're here right now, and they have a film in the festival called Crocodile. And I think the philosophy is the same in terms of trying to make films together and defining our rules and how we make the films. And I mean, we've been talking about DAO the entire week, so it's such a pleasure to meet you. But yeah, so the collective was I'm thinking of The Critics now, but The Legend of the Vagabond Queen of Lagos was made by the Agbajawa Collective, and there's 7 filmmakers. And we premiered our film in 2024 at TIFF, and it's really about defining our rules and how we make films and who gets to be the auteur and who gets to participate in making this film. So your philosophy is also one that I live by. And yeah, see Crocodile by The Critics. Thank you.
Okay, this is now an open process. We have 10 minutes for a Q&A. I cannot see shit because there's light in my thing, but I have a hand that raised there, if we can have a mic given. And, yeah.
Kia ora. Tēnei te mihi kia kōrua I tō kōrero I te ānei. Tēnā koe Alain mō tō mahi pukinga he mahi whakahirehira. Thank you this morning for such an amazing conversation. My thought is, I'm just wondering, you're talking about the story kind of impacting creativity first and how dangerous that can be to creativity. I'm interested in what your thoughts are around the business, and this goes into that kind of economic question. Where here, you know, you mentioned Pathé as cinemas and how that can shape perhaps what we make, because you have to make an adaptation. There's also, here we are at this market, the EFM, and you have sales agents and you have distributors and they're wanting comps. What is it like this? What is it like that? So they are also shaping in some way the kind of creativity. I'm interested to know, what are your thoughts on how we dismantle this kind of imposed colonial system of capitalism on creativity?
I'm fighting every day. It is really not easy, you know. You're going to the end of a project and trying to, so the Berlinale was very important for DAO, for example. So, but until the screening, you know, it's better now. It's better now because the film, I mean, the reception of the film have been good, and it was really risky until this moment, and we're still fighting, you know, because it's 3 hours movie, so it's not really easy to sell, etc. But yeah, it's a fight. I can't give you any kind of tips like other than you have to fight. You have to give some hope about the fact that it's gonna be great, even if at the end, you know, we don't know, but you have to give a kind of enthusiasm around the film in some ways, you know, and use sometimes you have to use their words too. You know, you show something, you know, about DAO and you're part of a world, you have to market something about your film in the way you will talk about your film. It doesn't mean that at the end, your film have to look at the way you have marketed it. you know what I mean? It's just to give them sometimes some points, some things that they will be able to imagine something, and you will do something that hopefully is going to be even better than that with the energy, but yes, you have to deal with this industry that most of the time don't want you to make the film the way you want it to be. And that's a fight. I don't have any kind of tips, but you have to just to believe, to fight. It's a big fight. It's an everyday fight, you know, and the film DAO will be released in France in like 2 months, and you can't imagine all we have to do to be able to reach the theaters, to build a kind of, so now we work on the social media thing, you know, and trying to, we've made a lot of videos here, and we work especially for the special distribution in Africa, trying to reach the people. And we have a very young crew also, so they got a lot of ideas, like you should do that, you should do that. So we try each film different ways to reach the public, but it's always a fight, because they don't want us like this. This is not like, this is not efficient for them. You know, it's another kind of work. And also, we are trying to reach a public, an audience that sometimes don't even hear about the film. You know, because the way they want to market it is just for a certain public, and the people you're trying to reach don't even have access to this kind of media. I mean, they don't read the same newspapers, and so you have to do very specific work also because I think that a film can possibly be successful if if he's taken by the heart of your audience in some ways, the people you want to talk first. And if they can drop the film and take it with them and go to say to others, okay, you should see that, you should see that, something can be built like that. Even if you have a small production. We have seen that recently with some films which, with a very small production, we have been able to create a movement about the film. So there is many ways of many different tools today to be able to navigate into that and trying to do your thing, even if it's not exactly in the way, I mean, in the formatted way. I don't know if it's clear.
No. We have to give speech and freedom to everybody. Thank you for the question. I hope this answers, but if it doesn't answer, let's talk. There's time, but I have a plane to catch, so. I see you. This is you. Please give her the mic.
Merci. Excellente discussion. I'm Marina. I'm based in Quebec, and I work with BIPOC Francophone professionals in the industry. I want to talk about the characters, and most specifically about the fact that you're at the end of your premiere at Berlinale, you had one question, and you gave one answer. You brought the character of Gloria to the front, and you said, "This is my answer." And this resonated in my whole body, and it's still resonating now. And I want to know, why is it so fundamental for you to bring forward the complexity of being a Black woman with the eyes of the person you are as a director, as a film practitioner? Very beautiful. And how often do you get challenged by it, by your crew, by the cast, by your audience, because of the dynamics that we know exists between both of us? So I would love to hear you about that.
Thank you. I have learned going from film to film that, in fact, the people I film are more interesting than me. So I'm serious. Doing this film, I was realizing that because it's 2 ceremonies, I had like 3 or 4 generations in each part. And some are male, some are females. And trying to write for everybody and to get everybody having my voice is stupidity. So I was more interested about hearing them. I wanted to make a film, stupid to say, but a little bit with my people in some way. And I wanted them to recognize themselves seeing the film. This was very, very important to me because it started with the thing that sometimes you can feel a little bit crushed by what you see that is supposed to be a portrait of you, and this is just somebody else. And I just wanted them to be able to be proud of themselves and watching them and say, and so I had to involve them into the process of what do you want to show of yourself? How do you want to be portrayed? Which kind of character do you want to be? And it was like an open mic. And I just had to hear and to film because the process of the film was, okay, I don't have to play the director anymore, like the man who's supposed to know everything. What I love doing a film is discovering the film. And I was like, sometimes I was like, oh, you know, when they start to talk and some specific sequences also were very surprising to me. Hearing stuff from people that sometimes you know or very close from you, but the camera is fantastic for that. And the fiction to me is fantastic for that when it gives to the people the opportunity to ask questions or to dialogue in a way that they will not allow themselves to do it in the real life. Sometimes a son can ask a question to his father. I mean, I have so many stuff in the, in the footage. Beautiful question, because the camera is there and there is this opportunity in a kind of security, you have a secure thing about with the fiction in some ways, and you can go further. And I love the fact that the camera can help us just to dialogue together. And so during the process of the editing, also I was able to show them the film, to be also sure that, okay, it's okay with them. So it's a new process to me, because into the system of the author, you know, which is also damaging in some ways, because I don't have to carry the weight of saying the truth about a community or about a woman or about I mean, that's stupid, but it's built this way too, you know. Wait, he's gonna talk or he's gonna film, you know. And so this is the kind of thing we have to deconstruct also. And so my pleasure was to say that, yes, this is not my film. The character of Gloria, she built it, and, you know, and everybody have built it their own character. And this, once again, it was totally different from what I've learned at the beginning of what is a filmmaker. And so I don't want to say to young people, now you have to go back from zero. Maybe you can start from there too, if you want to, you know. Everybody don't have to do the whole process, you know. You're gonna lose, like myself, 20 years, you know, before to start to make your first film. This is like my first film.
Ndeysaan. Tobias, what is the rule? What can I do? Because I'm out of time, supposedly, but I'm creating confusion at the same time. Do I have to close now? Can I take another question? I'm asking you. One question? All right. Yes, the critics? Guys, I want the link to the film. Like, let's talk at some point. Like,
Hi. Thank you so much. This has been a very profound conversation. There's been so much that's been picked from, you know, everything you've said. My name is Richard. I am a filmmaker from Kaduna, northern Nigeria. I'm a member of the artist group, The Critics. Yeah, we have a production company called Clan Ujo that basically centers around, you know, telling stories and film education and trying to build like an ecosystem of, you know, film enthusiasts and filmmakers in northern Nigeria to sort of, you know, just try to tell stories from that side, because it's a pretty underrepresented, you know, community over there. And our film just premiered, you know, a couple of days ago. It's in the forum section, so that's great. Thank you. So my question circles on the film itself. And I think Dao is one of the few films where we have characters not performing. We have actors who aren't performing, but actors who are existing and being. And I think there's a transcendence to, you know, the way these characters are, you know, embodied in the film that's just very beautiful. So I really want to know what is your process and how do you get them there? Because I also found out that, you know, Noah, the daughter in the film, this is her first film. This is, you know, one of the first films she has, you know, been in. And she was such a natural. So I am very perplexed by how these characters were able to, you know, ease into, like, you know, the space. And, you know, it made the film even feel like it was a documentary, because, like, I legit was so immersed in it. So I really want to know what your process is like and what your interaction with this, you know, actors is like, and how you get them to bring what they bring to the screen. Thank you.
First of all, congratulations for your selection, and thank you. We don't have a lot of time. Huh? So,
you can exchange WhatsApp.
Yeah, and then we will connect. The main thing I can say is just to be open to what will happen. They know better than you. It's a question also of hierarchy. to change the thing of being the one who is in control, and to have a space before the shooting to start, as a start, to give them the opportunity to bring what they have. So you change a little. I shifted my position in some ways, because as I said, you teach so you're gonna do this. This is the text. So we start by the beginning. Let's try to see the mother and the daughter. We try different combinations, and we try to find together what it means for her to be a mother, what it means for the other one to be a daughter, and we start different. We made a lot of different improvisation to talking together. They were supposed to marry, so the character of Nu is supposed to have a wedding. So my question was, why would you marry somebody today? Can you explain me? And we tried to find together, so explain what could bring her to do that. So let's find this guy your character would be able to marry. And we start this other moment of casting, trying to find this guy, So I'm starting with the mother, then I bring the daughter, and so brothers and sisters of Gloria also at some point, So it's trying to start by the central character and to build the other character around her, but always on the relationship, not on the words. Let's try to find the relationship, because you know that you interact differently with every people around you. You're not the same with your father than with your mother, with your brother, with your friends. Even all of your friends, you have a different relationship. I had a character in one of my movies saying to you that I know each one of my children with a different part of my heart. You know what I mean? You have this specific relationship each time. When you have this relationship, you can go on the set, everything can happen, they will act absolutely naturally, because they got the heart of their relationship. So to me, this whole work of preparation is trying to find the connection between everybody. And then you can go everywhere, everything can happen, everything can be improvised, even if something is falling, everybody will stay into the situation. That's what I can say just right now.
Alain, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Stay strong.